The house was attacked in 1781 during the American Revolution. In the summer of 1781 in North Carolina, it's what we call the Tory War. And the Tory War is not regular military, it is militia. So the house belonged to the colonel of the Cumberland County militia, Philip Alston. He was here with his militia in July of 1781 when they are attacked by the loyalist militia led by David Fanning in retaliation for the death of his friend and pilot Kenneth Black. So the firefight started at dawn, it lasted for about 3 hours and ended with his wife, Temperance Alston, walking out of this door and surrendering to the loyalists.
What we're doing today is I'm going to be working with the architects to try to figure out some changes to the house with architectural investigations. So I'm a finishes analyst and a conservator, and I'm going to be taking small samples of exterior and interior. And it's important for understanding how the building changed to sort of understand what its history was. There are bullet holes thought to be from the Revolutionary War. They very well may be, but we're going to look at those more closely and see if there are finishes that date to the earliest finishes elsewhere to sort of develop a chronology. It's a kind of architectural archaeology.
In theory, bullet holes are from 1781. What predates that? What postdates that? So we have a lot of elements in this house because it was built and lived in for 200 years. We have a lot of different families. We have stuff built on, we have stuff taken off. So we're trying to figure out what elements are original and sequencing the changes. So there's a lot of information this study is going to be able to tell us, not only about the structure of the house, but also about the interpretation of the people that live here. So if we find out if these bullet holes are not original, our whole interpretation needs to change. But it's also important because this way we know how to go forward with preservation and restoration. So our ultimate goal is to get this house back to the way it was in 1781 at the time of the battle. Hopefully today this will help us find a lot of those answers.
What I'm doing is I'm taking samples from strategic locations that we have chosen because they're going to answer some kind of question. Right now we're trying to determine if this wainscot matches, if the paint history matches the one on the other side of the room. And once I take these samples, I take them back to the lab, embed them in a polyester material that cures, and then with a precision saw, I cut them in cross-section and then polish them to a glass polish finish and photograph them under the microscope and compare the paint layering from one sample to another.
We're writing a historic structures report. It's a document that aims to help the building owners manage the building into the future. We provide a contextual history which delves into sort of the socio-cultural, historical circumstances of how this structure came to be, how the land was developed, what the influence was of living by the river, and then we have a series of semi-prominent owners, including a governor. And then when we get into the history of the house, we're looking at the history of changes from when it was constructed to today. So right now, a lot of what we're doing here is to determine that chronology.
What we're going to do right now is take off some of the siding board and the trim around this door. The trim looks like it should date to the 18th century. The door and the hardware dates to the 1890s. What it helps us do is understand what this house was like at the time of the battle that took place here in the 18th century. When you come along and want to take boards off to put in electrical systems or put in security systems and other things, you want to go to great lengths to preserve the material that is from the most important periods of significance.
Has there been anything especially interesting or surprising that you found today in getting your samples?
It's all very interesting.